as the story being told, as were the wars raged in the American public sphere over the fate of the world and nuclear arms. Produced at the height of the nuclear freeze movement, the film would never have succeeded without the support of the citizens of Lawrence, Kansas, where it was set and shot. Local activists from both sides of the debate put down their signs to appear as extras in a film that depicted the end of their world in the wake of a nuclear attack. Outside, in the press, boardrooms, and activist organizations, the film sparked fierce debates over our nation's nuclear policies, as well as the role and function of entertainment in politics. Down the hall from the sports division, my boss, Rune Arledge, was leading the news division. In response to the fears rising from the film's airing and aftermath, that division would be charged with making sure that ABC's disaster film did not incite viewer panic. At the helm of the live Viewpoint special that aired after the film, producer and host Ted Koppel had to confront perhaps the greatest challenge faced by any news broadcaster: how to conduct a civil debate with some of the most notable public intellectuals of the time about the fate of the planet without striking terror into viewers. Few journalists could have navigated this as well as Koppel. As the book depicts, the battles within the network and between the network and producers would pale in comparison to the backlash waged by those who believed in the path of nuclear deterrence through the policy of mutually assured destruction. This path had kept the United States and the world safe from nuclear attacks in the decades since Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But the arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union was fraught with fear and anxiety. Stoddard was not afraid to stoke these fears in his determination to raise awareness of the threat of a post-nuclear apocalypse. Although he would insist the film was never political, it was clearly meant to address perhaps the greatest existential threat our world has ever known. The Day After appeared not only at the peak of the arms race, but the broadcast television era as well. After 1983, the arrival of cable, streaming services, and the atomizing effect of the Internet meant that television would never be the same. But in this brief moment, many television executives and producers, writers and directors, actors and activists understood that television was, as quoted in this book, the only book on the shelf. They wielded this power with accountability, striving to balance the needs of the network with the interests of the public. Few understood this mission better than Brandon Stoddard. In the late 1980s, I would be asked to replace Brandon as head of ABC Entertainment. This was a daunting role, as few executives had left as large a footprint as he had. When he passed away in 2014, I stated that he was a true maverick who was instrumental in transforming primetime television. In fact, he transformed the entire medium, and, as argued in this book, may have changed the fate of our planet. Apocalypse Television recognizes not only Brandon and his colleagues, but all the storytellers throughout history who have crafted narratives that helped change our destiny. These include the myth-makers and the marketers, the cinematic auteur and the social media creators who now have the power to tell stories to global audiences. Depending on where it is cited, either Plato or a Native American proverb stated that those who tell the stories rule the world. As captured in this book, perhaps the better phrase is, those who tell the stories may save the world. Prologue. Before the next day after. Stop shooting immediately. You threaten the security of the whole world. On March 5, 2022, this warning, in Russian, rang out repeatedly over the public address system of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in southeastern Ukraine. Outside the walls of the plant, armed Russian soldiers were firing on Ukrainian forces as bombs shattered windows in the plant. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky declared, "If there's an explosion, that's the end for Europe." The end